Welcome to our placement um, co-ops and internships. And we're very excited because we're moving forward with certificate programs and other things. And we want to make sure that we have these components and we really do want our students to succeed. So this is a wonderful opportunity. This will be recorded so everybody knows, and we'll make the slides available and other material that we'll pass along so everybody has it and they know about what's going on. And what we'll do is we will start off with Professor Leslie Wood, who's running the placement course first. And then we'll have our delightful colleagues from, dealing with co-ops and internships. Right, so then we'll do that, and you can ask questions as we go along. So if everybody's good to go, so I don't know if you want to share anything, Leslie, or just
No, I'm just going to talk.
yeah, talking is good.
Okay,
Yeah, good. So you're up, Leslie.
awesome. Thank you so much, Rob. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Leslie Wood here. So I have been running the placement course in the Department of Sociology. This will be, we're going to be doing this fall, winter, so September to April next year. This will be, I think, the fourth time we've run it. And it really emerged out of student requests to have a way to, use their sociology training and bridge themselves into the job market or higher education. Some people wanting to do MSW, some people wanting to do law school. People really wanted to build their networks. And so it was in response to folks from SUSA and others who said, let's have a sociology placement. Why don't we have a sociology placement course? There's a placement course in communications. And so we designed this as in order to serve those needs. So it has been a very successful course over the four times we've run it. And maybe it's three times we've run it. This will be the fourth. And what it involves is it has a 1 day a week in an organization or workplace. The students are placed there to do some sort of meaningful work. We look for organizations or workplaces that have some sort of um, connection to questions of inequality, social justice, but also we're really quite open. If people know of places that would be good hosts, we want the work not just to be like photocopying, but to be real. We have in-person placements and online placements, and I'll give you a few examples in a minute. It's intended for fourth year students, so students who've done 84 credits. And that they're relatively strong students. So we want people to, in the past, we've just been for sociology majors. We want to expand it to anyone who's been taking sociology courses. But you need to have done pretty well in the sociology courses. We want to make sure that we're putting good students who are ready to do the work out into the world. And so we that's one of the kind of requirements. What we ask is that students think about why they want to do this and what their goals are, their short-term goals in terms of what they would get out of the placement, and also their long-term goals. And what I try to do is after I get the applications, I do an interview with each person to get to know them a little bit better, find out what their ambitions are, and then we play match and find organizations or workplaces that would meet the goals of the students and would be good hosts. So that's how it's worked in the past, and it has been very, very successful. The placement core, the being in the field is complemented by a seminar that happens a couple of times a month where we reflect and we use some of the sociological training to think about what is this organization that I'm working at? How is it organized? What is it trying to do? What is its relationship to some of the themes that we've encountered with sociology? So how does it relate to questions of power and this governance and the state and identity and anyway, we basically kind of do some institutional ethnography, which means we analyze the organizations that people are part of, think about what they're trying to achieve, and think about some of the barriers that they face. So yeah, in the past we've had things as wide as somebody working with a startup, working on user experience for a mental health app, people who have been doing support for in an immigrant settlement agency, trying to help people complete their applications for various visas and permanent residence, people working in admin roles in terms of helping students get access, high school students and elementary school students get access to tutors. So there's really sort of, I would kind of break it down into categories. There's administrative work, there is organizing and social justice work, there is research work. So some people are doing research for organizations that don't have the time to do that work themselves. And they want to get a sense of what the possibilities are. Um, and program work. So some people are running programs. There was a student who actually found her own organization, and so that is an option as well. Who was running a after-school program for young Black women, and so she developed the program and implemented that program. Now, each of the students at the end of the year, we bring all of the different placement hosts together to and then the students present on what their experience has been. And it has been a very meaningful experience. We still have an ongoing community of people who've taken the placement course. Many people get jobs actually out of the position, and if not jobs directly, references that help them get into graduate school or get other jobs. So it's pretty wide ranging. And it's a great experience. So I really want to encourage you to think about applying and talk to me if you have questions about what you're looking for. We're really quite open. I think that there's one of the things that's amazing about a sociology degree is that it actually gives you a really wide array of skills that employers and organizations need, and those include, and you may not be even, if you're a sociology student, not conscious of the skills that you have learned, but critical thinking, research, an analysis of organizations and people in power. And I've found that employers really want to see those skills and they need you. And it's a little bit different from a social work placement, which they're used to seeing close, which are very much frontline work. And we do some frontline work, but often more of the policy and programming work. So I'll leave it there, but questions are totally welcome. What do you want to know? Oh,
Good. Go ahead.
Celine, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the information session. I think this is really helpful, especially for someone like me who works full time and has an interest. Although I work full time, I think sometimes it's important to get that experience in a different realm, right? So this is very helpful. My question is, do you have situations like this where someone is working full time, but they want to take this course, or do you recommend? I mean,
Well,
I can disclose. I mean, I work for the provincial government. Um,
fantastic.
yeah, and I mean, I must say I agree with you with the sociology degree because you're dealing with the population from many different disparities, different angles. But I'm wondering how it would fit into my schedule.
Right. So the requirement for the course is to do 156 hours in placement between September and April.
Okay.
Uh, and so if there was, normally that's 1 day a week, but indeed some of them are project based, right?
Okay.
So you could get a placement now. Yeah, I mean, you sounds like you've already got a lot on your plate, but if there was a way for you to fit in 156 hours through the school year with a placement site, that would be potentially possible, right? You'd
Okay.
have to be the right host and a project that would kind of meet those criteria. But I think it is possible, but as long as you have the capacity to do so. But I do worry a little bit about your workload.
Well, I am currently in school right now, not 5 courses. I do think it's possible. I just, I guess we can have that conversation one on after, like, what would be some of the, organizations, if there are any that I can reach out to because it might be something that I have to work on a Saturday, right? Or maybe 2 days a week after work. I don't know, right? It depends on.
Yeah. And I do want to say that there is also the seminar, right? So the seminar, and I should say, is a chance to reflect, but that involves a few short papers, right? And meetings and a presentation. So you'd have to figure out how to make that work as well,
And that is
right?
done is that
That is
in the day?
that is done during the day. It hasn't been scheduled yet, but or maybe it actually has been scheduled. We should actually, I should figure out what so I can tell you the date and time of that class, because that would be, 3 hours on the weeks that it
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it might be pushing it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but I understand the desire. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
And that
thank you.
has always been held as in person, just
Mm-hmm.
to try and build the trust, but we can maybe think about that. Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you though.
No worries. Cheers. Other questions? Comments?
Oh, I have one.
Yeah.
You did mention that you needed a higher, we're looking for sociology students or students with a higher academic standing.
Yes.
Would there be a GPA cutoff for students?
It's a 6 in sociology courses.
Yeah.
Will be,
Okay, and would you have to, I'm assuming, maintain that throughout the placement, or would that affect your placement?
That's before you get into the placement.
Okay.
So it's,
There would be no effects.
once you're in, you're not gonna.
Once you're in, you're in kind of.
No, well, then we have a relationship with an organization, and so, yeah, no, we've had very good success. Only, I think, once somebody, it hasn't worked out,
Mm.
and we found them another placement, but, in general, it's just trying to make sure that it's gonna work for all involved. Yeah,
Miranda?
Miranda.
Miranda?
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for the information. I did want to ask, you mentioned that there's going to be an interview with you to be able to enroll in the course. When are those interviews scheduled? So like when should we start thinking of having that interview?
Yeah, so the deadline for sending in your resume, a cover letter, and your transcript is March 15th. And then I'll be doing the interviews in the last couple of weeks of March. I know it's examish season, and the beginning of April, so we can try and find something. We're just not gonna take a lot of time. But that's the general timeline, and we should have a confirmation about whether or not I can place you by June 1st. So before all the enrollment windows close. Yeah, no
Perfect. Thank you so much.
worries.
I have a question now
Yeah.
from someone else. What are your expectations from the students? So what do you require for the students? Would it be similar to kind of a regular course load? Or would you have, I guess, a higher expectation in regards to certain aspects?
Great question. Most of the kind of in terms of the grading, most of the grade comes from the evaluation by the field placement supervisor. And what they're looking for is responsibility, communication, professional demeanor. And so I want to make sure that people are doing, what they have been set out to do. So I ask each term the field placement supervisor to give feedback, and then that is given to the students so that they have an opportunity to improve. Ideally, we set up a meeting with the field placement supervisor. Sometimes that's like an ongoing thing. You're in the workplace and you're doing that and you're seeing them all the time. Sometimes if it's like an online research project, it may be less day-to-day contact. So we want to make sure that those flows of communication are clear. So 80% of 87, 70% something like this, I can't remember exactly. Most of the grade comes from that. The rest of the grade is about showing up for the conversations and building the community and doing the reflection pieces. So there are 3 short writing pieces and a presentation through the year, which allow you to kind of theorize what it is that's going on.
And I mentioned earlier that in the past, the student has one conflict. Say you do have a conflict with that field supervisor and that placement is no longer viable, but it's in the middle of the year. How would that affect your placement?
It's like a job, right? So we don't want people to be. There have been times where a student has said, I'm finding this is too much or whatever. And I really encourage them to work with the field placement supervisor to figure it out. Because sometimes the field placement supervisor doesn't necessarily know that they haven't given the support to the student that they need to give. So I can intervene in that context and say, listen, can we set up a meeting with the 3 of us and make sure that it's gonna work out. So it's not really, because it's a lot of work to set up a placement. It's not like, you don't shop around.
Yeah.
But that's why we do the work in advance, so we make sure it's a good fit.
Mhm.
The only case where it switched was when the placement supervisor said, no, I do not want this student in my workplace anymore. And so that was a situation where I had to find another placement place for that person. But ideally, it could happen.
Yeah.
Right? It could happen.
Mm.
But we vet.
Yeah.
As well. We're not gonna send somebody into a place that's really,
Mhm.
at least a problematic placement.
It's understandable. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's good questions. Thank you. Anything else?
Hi Leslie, it's me,
Hi,
Leora.
Leva.
I had a question. So how is the
Yeah.
placement, can you explain how is the placement going to work? And how the application for process looks like at least the first step, like how do we apply for the placement?
Yeah, so by March 15th, you need to send a cover letter explaining why you'd want to take the placement course, what your longer term goals are, your resume and and your transcript of your grade so far. And then I will review those and presuming that it's good, I will invite you for an interview. It'll be online. It won't take very long, but just to get a deeper sense of what you're looking at, what you're interested in. And then I will look over the possible placement sites. I'm also working with, there's a platform called Ripen, which you can email me if you want to have a look at that as well. They have a wide array of different possibilities, many online, but some in person. And so I'll see if I can match you. And then you'll know by June 1st whether or not you will be matched. Sometimes, or often actually, the employer wants to do a second interview with the potential placement student and see whether or not they think that you're going to be a good fit for the situation. So I will, in some cases, I've said to the organization, yeah, I'll send you a few resumes and you can have a look and you see if you want to interview the person. And so then they will agree or not. And sometimes they say absolutely. Sometimes they'll say, actually, we want both of them. Sometimes they say, no, not a good fit. And then you would start with a seminar in September. First class, get oriented. Second week of September, you start doing 1 day a week at the placement site. But again, some of them are more about the hours and the project than the day of the week. It may not be like a Wednesday thing. It may be like a 7 hours a week thing, right? So, and that will go through term. So it doesn't go through the holidays. I ask the employers to take a break during the holidays. And then you go through the second term and then you're done just before exams. I don't want people having to do it during exams. It's probably more information than you needed. There are a few placements where they want to work it out, and this is maybe relevant for Celine, where they start a little bit, working women, actually, the one that Rob hooked me up with. They run a tutoring program for new Canadians, families that are getting access to tutoring, and they start a little bit later. And then it goes a little bit later. So it's a little bit off schedule, but if the student agrees to do that, then that's fine. And does that cover it?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Miranda.
I did have another question because you mentioned the seminar component. With the seminar, you mentioned that it's going to be 3 hours and then it's sort of going to be scheduled like differently. But are we always going to have the seminar with you like in that case, or is it like different professors? It's you.
No, it's me.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
me. Yeah. So it's basically like just to keep things on track and to allow for that sociological analysis piece of it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So it's not
Thank you.
every week, but it's like, once or twice a month that goes through.
Could you tell us more about different placement students have gotten in the past?
Yeah, okay, so this is the list that I've got that people have committed to for next year, and there will be more. So, Canadian Center for Safer Communities, this is a remote research-oriented placement. They're interested in interventions around security safety. One of our PhD students actually works there. Weston King Neighborhood Center, they do more frontline work where they're working. It's like a drop-in center for folks who are struggling with housing, etc. The Hamilton Festival Theater Company, they want somebody who could help with running their programs. They have some how do I describe this? This is like a program for people in the theater world from different people with disabilities and different marginalized identities, and then supporting their work, helping to run some of their funding program. Young Street Mission wants to do some work on equity and diversity in their services and an analysis of what's going on there. Income Security Advocacy Center around social assistance, analysis of policy and practice. United Jewish People's Order, they have a kind of a number of ideas of how to go forward with that, but helping with their running their school. They have educational programs for kids and for adults. Culture Link, who do work with New Canadians. So people who are interested in sort of thinking about Master of Social Work, very good with that. The Global Refugee Partnership, which is an online project. They want help with their educational work. Stephen Lewis Foundation doing some work there. And the North York Harvest Food Bank was my most recent sign up. So yeah, and there'll be more. So those are the ones, and most, like, let's be clear, most of these are people who I know personally. So I've built those relationships, but the use of the Ripen app allows me to tap into much more. So the ones with the apps in Montreal, and there was also an organization in California that was doing an analysis of police in schools. And they had a student who was a double major sociology and criminology student, and he was analyzing the effectiveness of police in schools and the outcomes, and he had some stats skills, and they were very pleased with that. And he ended up, I think, winning the like top student of the year award in the department. Actually, he did very, very well. So yeah, that gives us a bit of an array. Yeah.
So is it, I guess I'm wondering about the proportion of virtual versus in person, like what the ratio is in general, and is it limited to the GTA or is it?
No, it can be international,
Mhm.
right? If it's a virtual, of course.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's sort of shifted since COVID, right? When everything had to go online. And then since that time, it was a realization that like, actually, it works well for some students to be online. And so, yeah, when I do the interview, I ask like, you know, where do you live? Do you have access to transit or a car, right? Because sometimes, like I was talking to the Hamilton Theater people and I was like, do they have to be in Hamilton? And she said, no, you know, there's a few times we would like to meet with you. And sometimes they'll be like, when there's a theater festival, we may need you in person, but in general, it could be online. So yeah, that really is expanding the possibility of cases, especially some of these like Rights Collab and some of these are international organizations. So yeah.
Say a student wants to, they found an organization on their own.
Yeah.
What criteria would you say they should match up with to bring the organization to you as a potential replacement?
Yeah, it has to be something that's like a meaningful workplace, obviously. The work will be somehow connected to some themes, but I think we're quite open. My brother's in marketing, and I'm always like, why are there not more sociology marketing connections? Because he tells me, oh yeah, we're analyzing this and this and this, and I'm just like, yeah, you're doing sociology. So yeah, I talk to the employer and see whether it's a good fit. And they have to sign some paperwork with York to make sure that the student is protected in terms of health and safety. And so they kind of get integrated into that system. And one of the questions that hasn't come up is pay. So because you're getting credits, this is as opposed to some of the other things that we're going to hear about, internships and co-ops, this is an unpaid because you're getting the 6 credits for the work. That said, one of the students who was working at Weston King Neighborhood House, they liked the person so much that they hired them for a second day a week. So they ended up having 1 day a week as placement and 1 day a week as paid. And then they ended up actually working full time at the end of the placement at that organization. So But yeah, definitely open, and because my networks are limited.
So we can continue to ask questions, and this is now a good segue, because of course, Leslie gave us that bridge. The idea that these placements could move into maybe a co-op, maybe an internship. So we have Molly, Racine, and Carlene, who's on line. So I will do a share. Thanks for coming, Amanda. These shares.
Closer to the owl.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the owl's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah,
You didn't even see the little guy when I came
yeah,
in.
yeah. It actually hoots when you actually open it up. So it's
What? It hoots?
it does that, that owl hoot. Yeah, so yeah. Now it does that. Yeah.
That means you're.
It sounds like an owl. Yeah, like it's ready to go. It's telling you it's ready to go. So I'm gonna do a share. Hold on, where is that? Where is the share?
Yeah, I have them on my phone too, but this is great.
Oh, why isn't it sharing? It should be able to do some chat.
I think it's because it's under the the 3 dots.
Okay, oh, it is. Yeah, because then it shifts. It's so
Yeah.
annoying, 'cause
There you
before
go.
it was thank you so much. Always a team effort. There's no I in team, as they say in the corporate
Especially
sector.
not when it comes to tech.
Yeah. Everybody, sometimes it's my students. No, you gotta do this. So share. Okay, we're gonna share this. Okay, good. Share. And I will go into presentation mode for you guys.
Thank
And
you.
I will pass over the mic, well, the mic, of course, but that's automatic. But
invisible.
the actual, the
Yes.
invisible mic,
The owl.
but the actual mouse.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, so you got a mouse and a mic.
All right.
Everything's there and ready to go.
Excellent.
Go
Thank you
ahead.
so much.
Thanks for being
Hello,
here.
everybody. Thank you for being here today. I guess we'll start right away with introduction. So my name is Racine, and I'm here with my colleague Molly, and we are from the LANPS Co-op office. And today we're going to be sharing with you the great co-op program that we have here at York, especially for LANPS students. So if you were interested, this is time to to listen in. And thank you, Leslie, for that lovely presentation and that great segue to talk about co-op. So, all right. So you'll find some similarities between what Leslie has shared. But again, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask along the way. So before we begin our presentation, we do want to introduce and just show all of you our small but mighty team. Our director, Carlene, who's on the call today, she's our wonderful director, but we also have a couple of other great people on the team. So Eli is our employer engagement coordinator. So he works with a lot of our amazing employers. We have our 2 wonderful co-op coordinators, Aloia and Kurith, and myself and Molly, we are the career education coordinators of the program. So we'll tell you a little bit more about what we do and how we help students, particularly when it comes to searching for your co-op jobs. All right, so we know that all of you here today are already thinking about this, but we want you to think a little bit more about getting work experience that's aligned with your degree. And if you think that sounds cool, we think it sounds cool too. And we are here to help you get that. All right. So if you're thinking, what is co-op? How is it different from field placement? How is it different from internships? Because we know that those terms kind of get thrown around a lot. So at least for us, for this program, the co-op program is within LAPS is an optional program for any LANPS honor student to engage in meaningful work integrated learning opportunities with partner organizations. So this is a chance for students to actually take a break from studying. So when you go on co-op, you're not going to be taking any courses, you're not in school, you're going to focus primarily on working and getting all that great experience that align with your program, professional interest, and your goals. And through co-op, you can build those hands-on transferable skills and experience that maybe you learned from your classroom, and you're able to do it out in the real world, and you can work in a number of different different organizations, corporate, education, nonprofit, government, advocacy organizations. So there is a wide range of different employers that you can work for and get that excellent experience in. All right, so some benefits of participating in co-op. It is a chance to complement your studies with practical work, and it also gives you a chance to test out a career. So if you were interested, you know, in maybe wanting to learn a little bit more about HR, or maybe you wanted to see what working in a government position would be like, this is a chance for you to test it out, see if you like it, see if you like the environment, see if you like that role, and if it's something that you would like to learn more about, you can definitely do that in your co-op position. It's also a chance for you to grow your network. I think Leslie mentioned about how the employers that she works with, you know, are through her own personal network. So this is a chance for you to grow your own network and gain mentorship and gain connections in the career or field that you would like to work in. And most importantly, you can earn while you learn. So this is paid. So for your work term, you will be working full time. And you will be paid for that time. So the current co-op student, the average co-op student rate is $24.50 per hour. That's average, okay? So, but all positions must be at least minimum wage, but we have a lot of positions where students are earning a lot more than minimum wage. So if you're excited about that, you know, definitely reach out to us. And of course, you could get access to dedicated career education supports for your co-op journey. And so this is where myself and Molly step in. So, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I forgot we had this slide here. So the co-op advantage for you, the co-op advantage for students is that research actually shows that students who participate in co-op programs perform better academically, are more engaged in their studies because they know what it's like out in the real world. They know what skills that they're learning in the classroom that they can actually put into practice. So they're more likely to stay on track and complete their degree. They're less worried about their studies and feel more confident and satisfied with their program of choice, again, because they can see how they can apply the skills that they learned in class in a real job position. And they will also be able to stand out to employers and are more likely to get hired after graduation because they have that experience on their resume. So they have that advantage over other students who don't end up doing co-op or any kind of work experience. And because of this as well, because they have that prior experience, co-op students after graduation also get hired at a higher starting salary. And importantly, there's also evidence that these benefits are amplified for students from equity deserving groups, including racialized students and women. All right, so now you can see where Molly and I come in. So if you do decide to join the co-op program and you're accepted, you are definitely not alone in your co-op journey. You will get support from us. So Molly and myself, we are career education coordinators. So we're here to help you in finding your co-op and making sure that you are sending, you know, the top quality resume, cover letter to the employers that you would like to work for. So we also have an amazing micro-credential course, co-op prep course on eClass that has a whole, a number of different resources for you. If you ever need to look at templates, if you need to look at, you know, different tips on networking, on interviewing, you also get access to a curated co-op job board. So this is a job board specifically for co-op positions. And it's specifically, you know, catered towards co-op students. You also get one-on-one career support appointments with myself or with Molly if you want to chat about how your co-op job search journey is going. You also have access to different networking events and career workshops. We also send out a weekly job seeker newsletter with tips on job searching, as well as we highlight any upcoming events or any great co-op positions that that maybe you hadn't heard of and you wanted to apply to it. So we highlight those every single week. And then of course, we also review your resume, your cover letter, and make sure your LinkedIn is looking great and professional. And so all of the support you get in the co-op program. And Oh no, there we go. All right, so that was a lot of information. So now, I guess think about yourself in a co-op position, and think about what that would be like. So sociology co-op students may find that you'll be developing all these different skills in different co-op positions. So you could develop skills in consulting, HR and training, professional communication, public speaking, project coordination, policy development, proficiency in softwares and tools that's relevant to the workforce, research, stakeholder engagement, and so much more. As Leslie mentioned, sociology students do have a lot of skills that we don't normally think that, sociology students can do in the workplace, but there is a lot and there's so many opportunities for you to be able to use those skills. All right, so this is just some of the many employers that we engage with in the co-op program. So if you see, some familiar companies and logos there, we can guarantee that we have them in our employer pool, and they are offering opportunities for co-op students, and they're looking, for students maybe with your set of skills. So just some examples of some roles that sociology students can apply for within these companies. You could maybe do an HR and admin role. You could work as an advocacy and government relations co-op. You could be a policy and standards assistant or an intake support assistant, or you could be a community relations support student or a customer experience advisory student. So those are just, again, this is a sample of the many different roles and positions that you could apply for. Okay, so now I am going to turn it over to Molly to take over. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So now that we've sort of gone over some of the benefits, I want to go a bit into the weeds of how we actually do this thing. So one of the first questions I get from students all the time is, okay, this all sounds great. When can I start? So generally speaking, students can apply to join co-op after completion of 30 credits. So if you're doing sort of 15 credits a term, that would be first year, or might be a little bit into second year, depending at the pace you're completing your degree. The earliest you can go out on co-op would be the winter term of second year, or when you're completed 45 credits. Many students tend to do summer of second year, sometime in third year. And we say this all also mindful of the fact that if in fourth year you're taking the placement course, you're going to want to make sure you do your co-ops before fourth year, because as Racine mentioned, you're actually going to take the semester you're doing co-op off. So you wouldn't be able to go to the seminar or participate in your placement. So when we think about how we're going to layer these together, you might do co-op between second year and third year, or in third year. Get your resume worked on, get your cover letter worked on. So by the time you're meeting with Leslie, you're ready to go into that placement with a bit of work experience through co-op under your belt. So just some way to kind of visualize where it might fit into your program planning. So just to reiterate, students apply for jobs in advance of the semester before they look to go on co-op. So that's also a difference from placement. You're going to, I guess it's kind of the same. You're looking in the summer before you start your placement, right?
Yeah.
So if you were thinking summer between second and third year, you would be getting that job in the winter going into that summer term. So you're always job searching a semester ahead of when your co-op would be. And then that co-op is considered a break from your studies to work full-time. So we do a bunch of paperwork for you to make sure you maintain your full-time status. If you collect OSAP, you're still able to collect OSAP while on co-op. And any sort of interest payments are deferred. So we make sure that all works out. So you're still considered a full-time student, even though you're out at your workplace instead of in class. How it all rolls out is really flexible. Students can complete up to 20 months of full-time paid and supervised work experience, and that can be broken up in 4, 8, 12, or 16-month work terms. So again, imagining you're going between second and third year, you could take a 12-month co-op and then come back for your third year after that point, or you could just do a 4-month co-op in the summer. So there's a lot of options depending on what you're looking for. Co-op work terms always follow the academic terms. So starting January, May, and September, which again is really important as you're thinking of your courses. We don't want you to finish a co-op and still have 2 months before the next semester starts, so you can fit it in with school. Oh dear, what have I done? Just a little throwback there to a previous slide. Eligibility requirements. So if you're thinking co-op sounds like a great fit for you, there are some eligibility requirements that we want you to meet. So in order to participate in co-op, you need to be in full-time studies and in an honors degree. So honors sociology full-time would be a requirement. For us, we're looking for a 5.0 GPA. So if you have a 5.0 GPA at the time of application, have completed at least 30 credits, as we mentioned before, but also on the flip side, you need to still have 9 credits remaining in your degree in order to go on co-op. What we essentially mean by this is you need to have 1 full-time semester at York before you graduate. You can't finish your degree while on co-op. You need to be able to work in Canada. If you're an international student, we provide a supporting letter for you to apply for a co-op work permit. So that's why when we get into application details, timing is really important as there's some time required to get that application out. Also, in order to apply, we ask you to complete a mandatory co-op information session on eClass. It takes about an hour and it goes over a lot of what we're talking about here, but in even more detail. So we didn't want to give you the full hour-long version of it today, but you can watch it on demand on eClass in order to apply. So what does that application look like? Once you meet the eligibility criteria and complete the online information session, you will apply to the program. That application is housed in Experience York. And after you are accepted to the program, we do have a $200 fee associated with the program. If you are not accepted to the program, you will not be charged the $200 fee for applying. If you're thinking you want to get started, we do recommend joining the program as early as you are eligible. So if you meet all of the eligibility criteria now, but you're thinking you don't want to go to do co-op in 3rd year, you can still apply now and complete some of the requirements, especially if you are applying for a work permit. That can be anywhere from 3 to 6 months wait time. So applying early means that you're able to get all of those things done before you'd actually search for a job. We do all of our admissions and acceptances in intakes. So if you want to apply for a job that would start as early as summer, but again, you can apply early, just to stress. But if you are thinking this summer would be the time, we're going to ask you to apply before February 6th. If you were thinking, I'm not quite ready yet, maybe not summer, we're opening for the fall in March 2nd. All of the information about upcoming application dates, if you're in 1st year and you're thinking I'm not quite ready for this, will always be updated on our website. So you can actually scan that QR code right now or go to yorku.ca/labs/co-op to find out more. Now, before we sort of take a pause for some questions, right? I got the 2 computers going on here. I just want to break down a couple of key differences between the co-op and the placement that I think are really important to understand. And again, stressing that you can do both. So with co-op, it is an opportunity for career exploration and development, but it is not as, not that it's not theoretical and thoughtful, but it's not as deeply embedded in your sociology curriculum. So you can absolutely do a placement in marketing, in HR, administration, government. But it's not going to have those same pieces. You come back with Leslie and talk about the sociology theory that underpins things. It's going to be a lot more focused on building those work-related skills. It also is, as we mentioned, paid full-time work opportunity where you're not doing other courses. Because you are being paid for all of those hours, it will show up on your transcript, but with a 0 credit weight. So it appears that you've done a co-op as a pass-fail.
Cool.
So 0 credits doesn't count towards your degree. You'll still do your 120 credits in your degree, but you'll be getting paid for those hours and it shows up on your transcript. Whereas on the flip side, the placement, of course, is really aligned to your sociology curriculum. You have more of those reflection activities. You still do have some short assignments with co-op, such as some goal setting assignments and a reflection that I believe is 500 words in length. Whereas you're going to have a little more in-depth assignments on your placement course, and it will be for academic credit completed alongside your other courses. So that is a little bit about how these 2 programs differentiate. We just had a little slide in here about the course, but we already talked about that with Leslie. So I want to give everybody a chance to ask us some questions.
I'm just going to pop out because we're celebrating the departure of one of our staff members. I'll be back in 10 minutes, so I'll blessing Philip moderate as they continue to do so.
Congratulations to your colleague.
Yes.
All right.
Great,
Yeah.
excellent.
Questions? Anybody?
Maybe we should pop over and stop sharing. Then we can see everybody.
Here, do you want to use the?
Oh, can I do it on here?
Yeah, do it on the mouse.
You can ask questions back.
Hold on. Where would it be? Oh, here.
No, my question
Let's
is not.
stop. There we go. All right.
Question.
Just I'm wondering how many students you place per year approximately.
That is a great question. So it differs very much term to term. Summer, as you can imagine, is our biggest. Right now, I think we have 110 students out on the winter term, and last summer it was around 130. So let's say 400-ish by the time, and it's really growing. The program has doubled since I started 14 or 15 months ago.
This is really just the beginning.
It's really just the
Yes,
beginning.
it's just the start and it's, yeah, it's growing.
And as you may have seen in the sort of title of this session, it actually used to be called internship program,
Mhm.
and we formally called it co-op program,
Mhm.
as it really is really locking into these not placements, work terms that are paid and have that structure, which is really great, because just a couple little fun facts. Employers can get tax credits for employing students and apply for a lot of grant funding for getting co-op students. So there's a lot of incentives for employers to take on students for these formal work terms, because they get some of your payback. So win for everybody.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Oh, yes. Yansu, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Yan. I'm in my second year of the sociology program. Yeah, so I just have like a couple of questions about the co-op program. Like, did you mention that you recommend taking the co-op program before the placement course?
Yeah, so kind of as Molly mentioned, because your placement course is for a fourth year, so we do recommend doing it before that. Again, just so that you would be just so you're mindful of the credits too, because again, that's part of the eligibility. So we do recommend, you know, in your second and third year to go on co-op, and then maybe do placement in your fourth year. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And can international students hold government position?
Yeah, I think they're able to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The only circumstances that international students have to be aware of is there are some summer jobs funded through a program called Canada Summer Jobs. That's not exclusive to government. It's just a specific funding program for some summer jobs that is reserved for Canadian citizens and PR. But any of the other sort of traditional co-op jobs, as long as you have that co-op work permit, you'll be able to participate, including government positions. Yeah. Great question.
Can a student find a place where they could do a co-op, or how does the match happen?
Ooh, great question. So it's a combination of the students' efforts and our own.
Uh-huh.
So as we mentioned, kind of upfront, we have Racine and myself. We are career education coordinators. We work with students on their job search. But I think one of the biggest part of learnings from this program is the job search is your own. So it is on you as a student to apply for jobs, look for jobs. We do have a curated job board where we work with partner organizations, somewhat similar to you, where we have sort of these long-lasting relationships. There's a couple ministries of the Ontario Public Service, for example, who love hiring through York. So they come to us, they work
They
with
want a
us.
placement student? I'm like, maybe we should.
I think so. So we have sort of these pre-existing relationships, and then also all kinds of employers that send us, you know, we're hiring 80 students this term. Can you post our jobs on your job board? And we'll post those as well. Students have the choice to do their search entirely on our job board, or they can go on external websites like LinkedIn, Indeed, or do their own networking, and we'll support with all of that. So just yesterday, I did a networking workshop with our co-op students on how you actually reach out to people and make those sort of asks, saying, hey, would you consider hiring me? So it really is a combination. You know, if you're not thinking you want to put any work into your job search, you will not be successful in finding a co-op. But if you're willing to put some of that work on to the search, we're here to help you 100% of the way. You can book appointments with us, you can come to workshops, you can use the job board. So it really is a team effort, I would say.
So that's another important difference, I think, because, you know, I find the jobs, although I find your model kind of appealing.
Making the students do the customized resumes and.
Yeah.
Well, I make them do that, but I have fun the location. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yes, thank you, great question. We should add this in our differences drop down for
Yeah.
future slides, that's a good one.
I do want to add to that too, though, like if the students are going to be looking externally, like we do have like eligibility criteria, like for the roles as well, like they do have to be paid. Like sometimes we have situation students are like, oh, we found this organization, but it's an unpaid position, even though it's full time. But if it's unpaid, it won't count as
That's up
co-op.
to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, or if or they say, oh, it's paid, but it's only part-time. So that can't be, or if they're paying, but they're paying under minimum wage also. So there's certain criteria that the roles have to be. So, you know, in order for them to be able to count like as a co-op and be registered as a co-op in the program. So
That's good.
Great addition, thank you, Racine. Yeah, do you have another question?
oh, yes.
Yes, actually. Earlier you mentioned that the summer term is usually the biggest. But does it mean like there are more like job opportunities available compared to other terms?
Good question.
Great question. There are more jobs available in the summer by far. There is also more competition for those jobs. So it kind of works itself out. While there are way more positions available, there are way more students looking. There are some programs, again, at other schools that only let you do co-op in the summer. So for example, you might have students from other schools competing for those positions, or, you know, similar to what we're talking about today, the students who have full year courses, like the placement course in fourth year, would likely not be looking for a fall winter co-op. So they would be sort of restricted to looking for that summer co-op. Or like we talked about, we do have 8-month or 12-month co-ops. So you could potentially go down the line of looking for that full year, and then you wouldn't have to worry about taking the full year course for that third year until the following year. So hopefully that's helpful. Great question.
Can you give the examples of past jobs students have gotten?
We can, and you can have a worksheet right there if you
Yes.
want one. We'll also share this digitally. We do have some examples of jobs, and honestly, we could have pulled many, many more examples. So if you take for everyone that is in the Zoom, we can send this out. But we have some examples such as past positions that have been really of interest. An HR and administrative role with Rainbow Railroad, which is a nonprofit organization that works with queer refugees to come into the country. We've had people work at various pension plans and banks around things like government relations, research, other sort of, even like UX, I think was mentioned as one of the placements. So we do see a lot of sociology students gravitating towards those policy and government relations type work. We've had students working with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment to do things like philanthropy, events planning. We have ones in ticket sales. We have ones in equity, diversity, and inclusion as well. We mentioned the Ontario Public Service, so lots of different opportunities there. I want to do the other half, Racine?
Sure. So, so if you're thinking, you know, can I actually work at the TTC? You can. So there have been, you know, a legal co-op student who's worked with the TTC. Toronto Hydro, a community relations, a senior student, TD Bank as a customer experience advisory co-op student. If you want to work, you know, with a more healthcare associated, there's also the Canadian Mental Health Association. A student worked there as an intake support assistant and outreach, and international concerts intern with SOCAN. That's really
I love that one. I know. I was like, I
Yeah.
want that job.
I know. So definitely there's a lot of variety, and I'm sure if you're looking at this or if you're hearing this and if you look at this later, you'll think, oh, you know, I never thought that those jobs like would hire like a sociology student. But they do, and they're real roles.
And just to add,
So, yeah.
as you mentioned, we have a huge amount of marketing communications type roles as
Yeah.
well. So again, if you're thinking you want to be more on the storytelling side, the market research side, we could have made a 19-page document of different jobs, and sociology students would be a great fit for all of them, which I think puts you, you know, you're in a really unique situation in this program because you really can have a broad search of possible jobs. You know, not to throw any other programs, but like if you're studying, say, information technology, you're probably looking at information technology jobs. Whereas as a sociology student, you can really look in the niches of things that interest you and fascinate you.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you can really make use of, if you have developed skills that's outside, of your program, like maybe you do know a bit of web design, a bit of graphic design, maybe you do know a little bit of either marketing or communications, or you know something a bit more technical in that sense. It opens up, the world of opportunities for you, because you're not just limited. So when you go on the job board, you're not limited by your program. You're not limited by your studies. You're like, it's all open to you, and you can apply to any that suit you best, right? If you meet the qualification on the job posting, there's a big chance that you can, be invited to interview, right? So it's definitely very, very flexible.
Is the job board exclusively for lab students, or is it across the university?
It is exclusively for co-op students from any of the programs at York.
Oh, speaking for my son in engineering,
Yeah.
who's looking for co-op.
So yes, I think that's like a great point. Engineering students would be able to see the slate of jobs that sociology students would be, but you can imagine typically
Different skills.
a mechanical engineer student is not going to be applying for a policy analyst position. And a sociology student is probably not applying for a mechanical engineering position. But I think to Racine's point, if you do have sort of maybe a previous career, maybe a niche skill set from something else that you do, maybe you're an artist, maybe you work on cars on the side, like you can always bring those other interests into the type of co-op you look for. So it's very flexible in that regard.
Yeah. These are wonderful opportunities, and keep in mind that even at a graduate level, like for public policy, they do have a placement.
Yes,
So
public
this
policy
could
is a
segue.
placement course.
Yeah, I
as
mean,
well.
I just see segues from placement to co-op to internships to graduate school. I mean, even with marketing and so on, and having all that experience doing marketing, you say, well, from sociology, and I have all the research skills for it, I could get into Schulich and do that,
Absolutely.
the 1-year degree in the master's program in marketing. So it opens a lot of doors.
For sure.
And this is just a wonderful, these are excellent opportunities. I'm so glad York finally moved into this area.
We were too.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. I mean, and you see it at Waterloo like 100 years ago, it feels like. But when I was in school, which feels like 100 years ago, and they had that, and I thought.
It was
York
the 70s.
needs it. Yeah, it seems that way, and it feels like, yeah, I almost started in the 70s, but not quite. The 80s, but the very early 80s. But when I saw, Waterloo had this, I think we should have it finally. This is wonderful, and of course, we have our placement, course, which is wonderful too.
Yes. Great, a lot of great opportunities to get really good work experience, which I know a lot of students are really, concerned about because of, like the job market and, how the employment sector, how, getting employed like after school is a big, and I'm sure with all of you on this call and here, like you're all thinking about that. And this is a way to get, to stand out, to get that by the time you graduate, ahead of other students who might not have this, employers would be very happy to see that,
Or grad schools.
Yeah.
or grad
Both
schools.
usually.
Canadian experience too, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm.
Big thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Are there any questions? This is great. And so you'll pass on PDFs?
Yes, we'll
These
send you
for-
PDFs
yeah.
of these.
And what I'll do for everybody is pass on the recording, the slides, the PDFs. Leslie's gonna pass on some PDFs to me too. Wonderful, and you'll give me, if anything you augment, and maybe have a longer one, maybe I
Yeah.
can pass on to everybody.
Yeah.
With all the things that you wanted to add in, but that would be great.
Yeah, we'll leave we'll leave
can
this
leave
and some
the
of our
postcards.
postcards as well. And so if any of you wanna stop by, then, there's questions about the placement course for you.
Sure. What's your question?
Hi, Professor Wood. We actually met before at the SUSA event, like back in September. That's a long time ago. So I have a couple of questions. Earlier you mentioned, I so if I take the placement course, I can get like 6 credits, but does the credits fall under like the major area or like elective courses?
There's sociology credits,
Mm,
so I don't know. Well, I don't know how to answer that question.
okay.
Uh, I mean, if you're a sociology major, there's sociology credits, so does that
Okay.
make sense?
Okay. So it's for like major courses.
What's that?
Okay, so I assume it's like I get like 6 credits for my major courses.
Yeah, well, if you're a sociology major, yeah.
Okay, okay. And then is there like case where students outnumber the positions available?
Uh, well, I find positions for the people. So, you know, if the more students who sign up, the more hustling I will do.
We'll be
And
talking.
yeah, and I think that like the Ripen framework, at least it promises that like I'll be able to find positions for anybody who's admitted to the course. Don't worry about that. I mean, whether I'll find exactly what you were hoping for, well, maybe it won't be exactly. Like I've had people who, and that's what I do in the summer sometimes, right? Somebody was like, I'm interested in death and dying, and I want to work in that area. And I was like, okay. So that took some like hustling, right? Or like the person who was user experience, I was like, okay. And we did find something, but it wasn't like it just took a little longer. Yeah, but I'm not, yeah, anyway, I can't bespoke your career, but I can find, you know, something in the general area.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, thank you. And sorry, just one last question. I'm still in my second year and I would love to take the placements course. Like, will you be like running this next year? It might be too early to ask.
Rob?
Yeah, we are hoping to, that's why tell everybody you know, that they should be taking the course if they're going into
Yes, of
fourth year.
course.
And the more successful the course is with an enormous demand, it's almost guaranteed that I will be pushing for it for
Yeah.
the following years to 28, 29, and so on.
Let's be clear, like in the past, it's been about 15 students, and so. But now to try and get it to 25 is a big jump. So it's gonna require some, that's why we're doing this session partly.
Yes.
But yeah, I think we can do it. I think the interest is out there. That's why in the past, it's only been for soci majors, and now we're expanding it to sociology students, because I think. Yeah, it makes sense. As long as you have a general sociological imagination. Let's go for that. Yeah.
But we do want to run it every year, and that's
Yeah.
why we're doing the big relaunch, you could say.
Absolutely. And
And
promise
bringing
it to
in.
incoming, we can't like then not have it,
Well,
right?
that's
It's
the
not.
point.
not-
And this is why we're mixing it with the obvious segues, right, and the synergies
Yeah.
with co-ops and internships, because this is where things need to end up. And hopefully they all come together and, you know, there's that sharing, because our students are, you know, our first concern, and this is why we want to do these things. Miranda.
So the last question got me thinking. I know Leslie might not be able to answer this, and maybe it's more a question for academic advising. But if it's a course intended for fourth year students, then does that mean that it would be would be considered a 6 credit for a 4,000 level course?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
Credit 4,000 level. You have to have 84 credits to get into it. Or like you
Yeah.
will have by the end of the year. So yeah, you're gonna kind of, whereas the co-op, you can get in much earlier, which is great.
Yeah, after first year.
Yeah, 30 credits for the course.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's intended to be your bridge, you know, into the whatever comes next.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments?
Chat.
Oh, the question I'm seeing here, no, this is, you register, you apply by March 15th. And I interview you and see if I can place you. And then I will help to find the job for you. That's different to the co-op, right? So I will find you a placement. The placement supervisor may want to interview and decide whether it's a fit for them. So there's often like an interview with me and an interview with the host placement thing, and then you start the course and the placement in the fall. Does that answer your questions, Sumi? Yeah.
And we will send out the recording, so you'll get what you missed, and we'll send out the slide presentation and all kinds of valuable information about the placement course, and then the co-op and internship program, and contact information.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can
just
ask
feel
more
free.
questions.
No, it's just to answer your follow-up question, it goes from September till April next year. So it's the full fall winter term for 1 day a week in the placement plus occasional seminars. Yeah.
Mm.
No worries. Welcome. Thanks, Heather.
Yeah. It's great. So we'll pass it on to everybody, and you can pass it on to your students, and our SUSA, students will pass it on to everybody else. So again, just in case people missed it, so this is great. I don't know if there's any more questions at this point, or comments, or follow-ups. But, you'll have all our information, so we can basically continue the conversation. It's an ongoing one. You can always contact me as chair, and I'll pass you on to whoever. When we do send the email out, you could circulate it that way, to all the students in SUSA and so on, part of your list, so it's good. So if we're all good, I don't know if there's any more questions. I don't see anything, and I don't see anything else in the chat. So I think we're good to go, and I want to thank everybody. This is exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is the way this is be going. Yeah.
Interesting to do.
Yeah, it's good, and I'm
Thank you.
so
Thank you,
glad we
everybody,
came
for-
together. Yes, thanks for being here. This is great. So I will end the recording now. Hopefully we'll be able to find it again. We never really know. Let's see, where? Where is this?